really take time as you're going into this year, like reflect on where you are. Have that moment where you look in the mirror and you're honest with yourself. Like identify your insecurities, identify your success, your strengths, the things you're good at, and be okay with all of it. Like none of it's bad. I think too much, like in the conversation I was having with the buddy at the gym, I was like, bro, who defines heaven and hell? Like it's all experience. And then ultimately it's how we define that experience, right?
What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of The Bullpen. I'm so excited about this episode for more than one reason, because the man sitting across the table from me is one of the most successful men I've ever met. He's also one of the most low-key, about it that I've ever met. And it, like if I'm completely like, dude, it's kind of a mystery. Like, dude, how have you done this? Like I don't even think you've flown under the radar. People don't know about you the way they should. Travis Bott, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate you,
Pleasure
brother.
to be here.
So, dude, I mean it when I say, obviously you've had a ton of success. For those who don't know, recently just exited a company for 9 figures.
Yeah.
Right?
That was a good day. Yeah.
And I remember actually, I think I saw you the day it got official, right?
Yeah, we weren't going to announce it, but Dan Fleischman from Stage made the announcement for me. So.
Yeah, that's But what's funny is you were just cool as a cucumber, man. I remember asking somebody, I was like, bro, if he just exited a company for 9 figures, he's here. He's just chilling. I'm like, I'd be partying. So I'm just sitting here. I was sitting here looking at you. I'm like, that dude just exited his company for 9 figures. And by the way, from my understanding, that's not your first time.
Yeah, we've had some good exits. We exited a couple companies last year, one for 8 and one for 9.
See that? Okay, so you've done this, but done 9-figure exits before. But dude, I don't think people know about you. You've stayed under the radar. You haven't built a social media brand like some other people, and you don't need to. But dude, who's Travis Bott, man? What's your story? How'd you get to this point, bro?
Yeah, I think the social media thing, honestly, I just have too much ADD to focus on it. And one of my weaknesses is I don't take the time to stop and hire somebody to do that shit. I'm not going to do it. It's just not what I enjoy. I think it's a generational thing, maybe, even though I don't consider myself old. It's just I was listening to your episode with Jimmy Rex, and he was talking about when he started. And we didn't have the platform you have. We didn't have social media. We didn't have Instagram, Facebook, and all these places to network.
Because you're old.
So, yeah, I'm getting older. We'll say that. I was used to being the young kid in every room. I still call people kid, and my wife always corrects me. And I'm like, look, for 15 years of my career, everyone referred to me as the young kid in the room. Right. And so it just stuck with me. But ultimately, I think because in the evolution of my business cycle, that wasn't a key factor. It just didn't become something for me. Yeah. So I think it's great what you do, what Jimmy does, what Dan does, and all these people that build massive personal brands. Yeah. And I think if I was probably at a different stage in my business evolution, I would still do that and go back and do that. I just think where I'm at, I don't necessarily the businesses I'm in right now don't require me to personally have that. Right. And so it just hasn't been a focus. Yeah. So because of that, everyone assumes I'm a man of mystery. You were asking me, what do you do? I was any entrepreneur, it's I don't know. It's the hardest question to answer. Yeah. I'm an entrepreneur, but when people ask my wife, just because we don't put out there a lot of what we do. Yeah. She's like, he's a drug dealer. Create some curiosity. But I'm not a drug dealer. Especially I am just an entrepreneur. Yeah. The company we sold was a software company. One was an online marketing company, the 8-figure exit. And so I think one of my keys to success is I've been in so many industries, from heavy steel manufacturing to footwear to apparel to vitamins and supplements to medical equipment to software to crypto to online marketing to product marketing. So
card trading, that's pretty wide variety.
I have really bad entrepreneurial ADD, so I do a lot, but it's also contributed a lot to my success. I think I have a broad perspective of things when I look at any individual market.
Dude, it's funny because when you're saying that about entrepreneur, I was thinking about, because people ask me what I do all the time. I'm like, well, I do this. Okay, it's all under this, this is my company, but we do this. And I think I've always thought about this as well, because people who give you an answer of oh, I'm the senior marketing director for food and delivery services, right? They can make their career, what they say sounds so good, usually when they're an employee. And I think a lot of people specialize in making their thing sound good. I saw this video of this guy's like, it's like, I'm a food and delivery specialist for a multi-billion-dollar food delivery service. They're like, wow. What company? Goes, DoorDash. They go, DoorDash? It's like, because people like to make their titles sound a lot better than it really is. Like I'm a senior vice president account manager. I'm like, okay, so you do customer service, right?
Yeah.
And it's not the shit on that, but then it's when you ask an entrepreneur, they're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I run businesses.
Depends on what day it is.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. Like, how do I answer that question? Like, which one do you want to talk about,
Sure.
So it's funny you mention that because like entrepreneurs can't tell you very well what they do, but then it comes like these other guys, they can tell you senior vice president, all this stuff, right? But okay, so I want to get into all that, but like, how did you get here, right? Because like you being an entrepreneur, getting into that many fields and having that many successful exits or just having this much success, that doesn't come from just anywhere, right? That doesn't just happen.
Yeah, sure.
What happened in your life to make you like this driven or want to be this dude that you are? Like, what happened?
Yeah, I mean, so I was born in Tremont, Utah, small town.
I was about to say, I don't even know
most
where
people
that is.
don't know where it is.
Yeah,
it's the last town you can get gas in before you hit Idaho.
Okay,
and it has a Lazy Boy manufacturing or had a Lazy Boy manufacturing facility. My dad worked at the Lazy Boy manufacturing facility. He ran their wood room. And I don't even know what that means. I guess he made all the wood parts.
I guess so.
But yeah, I mean, I grew up blue collar parents. My mom and dad both worked at Lazy Boy. Yeah. Like we grew up with a babysitter because my parents both worked. I had a dad that just, I've listened to quite a few of your episodes. I think a lot of guys in our position, like my dad wasn't an easy dad. He didn't accept failure. Like he was the dad intense.
Yeah.
Like I was the kid that would tackle somebody at a football game and my dad would pull me out of the game, grab my face mask. You're gonna let that guy make a pussy out of you? That wasn't a tackle.
Yeah.
Get back in there. So I just that was ingrained in me. I think my dad's greatest accomplishment in life was that he didn't miss work for 10 years. Whether he was sick, I don't know, dude would always go to work. And
that's
it was
a
just
lost art.
I just don't not show up. Yeah. And so those qualities and traits were ingrained in me. And my dad was intense because my older brother, his mom died of cancer when she was 19.
Oh, geez.
Then my dad remarried my mom. My mom died in a motorcycle accident when I was 5.
Oh, my gosh.
So my dad literally, before the dude was 28 years old, had 2 wives pass away. So I look at it now and I'm like, I understand why you were angry at life and why you were an intense dude. Mm-hmm. And he had no choice.
Are you close with your dad, if you don't mind asking?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I am now. I can't work with him. I tried to hire him in one company and through a door jam.
Okay.
So that was a learning lesson. But aside from that, we have a good relationship. Mm-hmm. But he was just an intense dude, and he had no choice. He had no choice but to show up to work every day to provide for me and my siblings, because a lot of our early childhood, it was him and 3 kids with nobody to help him. And so I respect that now looking back. When I was a kid, I was like, man, you're just angry and intense.
Right.
But my dad taught me a relentless work ethic, and that there was nobody was going to beat you at something. You were going to keep going until you won. And so some of those qualities I think are good qualities. Some of them I've had to learn to temper through.
Sure, of course, yeah.
Through life to pull the best from them.
Yeah.
But ultimately it just gave me a drive for success. My older brother, when he graduated high school, went to college, he works with me now. He does all the operation stuff.
Oh, wow.
He was we're polar opposites. He's the calm, collected, valedictorian, mathematician, 2 degrees, super detail oriented. I'm none of those things. And so he does all that side for me in our companies now. But when he graduated, he went to college, then he went to work at Lazy Boy. And Lazy Boy was an interesting thing. It was like a trap in Tremont, because you could make enough money that you made a decent living. You go there and make $70,000, $80,000 a year working in a factory.
Yeah.
Which is not a bad living.
Not a bad gig.
But you would get stuck there.
Yeah.
Because now you're there, you're making enough money, you're probably living beyond your means.
Yeah.
And now you're stuck in that, right? And so when I graduated high school, I always had that entrepreneurial spirit, slinging lunch tickets and candy bars and whatever at school and whatever I had to do to make $1. Because we didn't have a lot of dollars. I joke, you were poor in Utah when the only places you went on vacation was Idaho, Colorado or Montana your entire childhood.
Yeah.
Like we only went to Bear Lake.
Or St. George.
In fact, when I was 18, I'd never been on a plane.
Really?
Never been on a jet, never went to Disneyland, any of those places. Now I've been to 50 countries, right?
Wow.
But I think I've always had that entrepreneurial drive.
Yeah.
And then it was just that realization of like, I don't want to work at Lazy Boy. And so when I graduated, I had no other choice. I didn't go to, I started college, quit college.
And correct me if I'm wrong, you were a football player because you're a big dude. Like, I don't know if you're seeing on this camera, everybody, but this is a big dude right here.
Yeah.
You played football, right?
Yeah, linebacker for Bear River.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so you go to college and then.
Yeah. Went to college, dropped out, didn't like, I don't know. I think at some point school was too easy for me. Like I could show up to like whatever, math 105 at the end of the year for the review and I could pass the test. I have a pretty good memory. When I hear something spoken, like I can recapture it pretty well.
Dude.
And so it was easy, but I didn't see the application for it. So I got a job working at, like there was a Walmart distribution center that moved in where I lived. I got a job working at there during the day. I worked at Big O Tires at night and I was just saving money to wait until I could find that opportunity. Ultimately, I ended up meeting a kid up in Logan, Utah. His parents had helped him start a full service car wash. I got to know him and become pretty good friends with him. And I was like, shit, I could do this. So I went and met with him a ton and like got all the information about starting a car wash. Ultimately, and I think in business, a lot of success, I don't think you can be lucky and be successful, but I think a lot of success is luck.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is like if you're dialed in yourself, like if you're in a place personally where you can take action on something, where you can commit to something, where you can execute on something, where you don't have a lot of distraction, like if you can dial in, when I mean self, I mean like your inner self, then when luck comes along where something just happens to fall in place, then you're in a position to move on it, right?
Oh my gosh, that's so true.
And so ultimately he told me everything to do. I had saved up enough money. There was a real estate development, American Fork, and it had just like opened up this massive development. And there was a little corner of it that a Japanese family owned. Their parents had died. Some kids owned it. They put it for sale. I went in and put hard money down. They didn't know I didn't have the money to buy the property, but I went to Westgate. I put money down on it, put it under contract.
Yeah.
And then went and started pitching everyone my idea, right?
Yeah.
But first, I just took action.
You just did it first.
And like one of my mottos in life is just go first and understand second. When you see opportunity, when you see a market, when there's opportunity, like that's why I think I've done so many things because I'll see opportunity. It doesn't mean I've succeeded at all of them. I've failed at more than I've succeeded.
Sure.
But when I see a need in the marketplace, like I'm going to go attack that. And I might fail, but I'm going to go. And along the way, I know I'm capable enough that I'll gain an understanding. I'll bring the right people together to gain an understanding to be able to succeed in that marketplace.
Yeah.
But I'm just like a go do and then figure out how to pull this shit together after the fact. And so I went and put the money down. And just by dumb luck, that property went into a lawsuit. The siblings got into an argument, went into a lawsuit, so they had to honor my hard money. They stayed in a lawsuit for a year. I put money down at $18 a square foot. During that year that I had it under contract, that they had to continue honoring my contract or my hard money, Wells Fargo came in and bought it like $32 a square foot.
Wow.
So now my circumstance changed. I had over $1.5 million of equity in that piece of property. Ultimately, I was able to go to a gentleman named Dow Jones and Dave Layton, who owns Layton Construction, way out of my league. But I was able to go to him and say, hey, you guys want to partner with me on this car wash? I got $1.5 million equity. So when I had nothing to bring to the table but a contract, now if I release that contract, they're going to raise that property price to $32 a square foot. And so I was able to leverage that to bring investors in, started that car wash, ultimately ended up exiting that. And then from there, I've just continued to kind of leverage up the size of venture that I've been a part of, which has, led into some pretty big companies.
Dude, there's so many things to unpack. Do you know how many people I talk to? Because obviously a lot of people reach out to me and they're like, oh, I want to start my business. So like what? Like, and I know and they do to you, they ask you for advice, right?
Yep.
But they always wait until the day they're ready. They always want everything to be perfect before they start. They want this lined up. Everything has to be lined up before they start. But you just started and then lined it up after. And ultimately, every entrepreneur I've had on here has a very similar success story of I dove in and then figured it out as I went.
Yeah,
That is entrepreneurship, right? And you say luck is for, like those who are prepared. You don't have any idea how many people have opportunities that come and go and pass them by just because they weren't prepared for it or didn't have the courage to take action on it. Like what you did takes some serious nuts to put some money down on a car wash. Yeah. Or, hey, sometimes they're the same thing, right? But what you did, like you didn't even know how to figure it out, but you just believed in yourself enough that I was going to figure it out, right?
Yeah.
So then you go from car wash, and then how do you transfer then from car wash to all these other things? Like what allows you to figure this stuff out so quickly?
I mean, it's a long transition, right?
Sure.
I mean, it's failed businesses, successful businesses. Like I sold the car wash. I got involved with one of my dad's childhood friends, learned a lesson. Don't sign on a letter of credit for somebody else. Okay. The CFO of his company ended up embezzling money. And I was signed on a line of credit, so I had to file bankruptcy. Like I literally filed bankruptcy and claimed no personal debt in it, just the business debt. So it was a good learning lesson, like all these things, like I can sit down and speak legalese with anyone from a business perspective because I've had to go through all this shit.
You've been through it.
And so all of these things just compound from heavy steel manufacturing, like there we were manufacturing rig mats. I didn't even know what a rig mat was then, but I do now. A rig mat's a steel, basically 3 steel beams that you put wood in, and they use them up at the oil fields in Canada to make roads. So they'll trailer them in, drop them on the ground. And at the time, the oil fields in Canada were booming. Yeah. And so I met with a guy, he told me about it, and I'm like, well, shit, I can do this. So literally me and my brother, sorry, BMW of Murray, we took, they needed to service my car. They gave us a loaner. We took that loaner, drove it to Canada. We probably put 5,000 miles on a loaner car in 7 days, drove it through the oil fields. Like at the bottom of it was just caked in this mucky, oily shit.
Right.
We sprayed it off the best we could before we gave it back. But ultimately we went up there and knocked on doors, meeting oil field companies. And then we realized because my dad's friend had an expertise in manufacturing, I was like, yeah, I can bring the capital because I just sold my car wash business.
Right.
And we could build a rig mat for like $2,200 and we could lease it for $34 a day in the oil fields. And had this guy not embezzled money, we would have made fortunes. But ultimately he ended up selling some of our rental rig mats without letting us know and taking that money out of the company. But it was just like somebody told us about it. We went and vetted it. We saw there was an opportunity and a need in the marketplace. These companies were back ordered for 8 months. We put a manufacturing facility in Willard, Utah, and we started pumping out rig mats. And so just been that process of like the world evolves. One of the things I tell entrepreneurs is like, don't take too much credit for your success. Because a lot of success we have, like take credit for your ability to be successful. And I think entrepreneurs mix that up, right? Understanding how to create success is an important aspect of life. Like understanding the creative power you hold within yourself, understanding how to control that, understanding how to put the right energy out into the world, and the energy like it has to bring it back to you. And that's what attracts success.
Yes.
And I think most entrepreneurs get lucky because of circumstance. They have a big success. And it's why you see a lot of entrepreneurs who can't repeat success, because there's a difference between having success and understanding how to recreate success over and over again. And when you understand that formula of creation, like then it becomes easy.
What would you say the formula of creation would be like list it out, like for
the
me?
The formula of creation is like truly understanding your own self-power, like controlling yourself. When you can control your own emotions, when you can control your own vibration, when you can control your own energy, when you can control your own happiness, and it's not just for business. It's how you have successful relationships. It's how you are successful with your kids. It's how you're successful in business. Like the formula repeats in anything you want to do. And I think a lot of people miss that. It's like taking the time to truly go within yourself and understand how to become a full person. And then when you can take that to the universe, you're just going to attract that. It's like success just comes to you. You don't have to try to find it. It'll come and you can recreate it. a lot of entrepreneurs go have a one-hit wonder because I think luck exists in business.
Right.
And I did that. I was successful in a car wash. Then I failed in 4 companies. And it's because I didn't understand the dynamic of what created success. And I had to stop and really learn the psychology of like success and like how to create success and attract success for yourself. And then once you apply that, you can continue to be successful over and over again. And I think that's why you see entrepreneurs who have one big win and then it's like they fail the rest of their life because they don't really know why they won, right? And I think a lot of people take credit for like, like even the software company we just sold for 9 figures, like COVID was the best thing that ever happened to us.
Dude, same.
We got in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
We started a company that tied into Amazon and DoorDash and Instacart, right?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
We launch, COVID hits. Where does everyone send their marketing dollars?
Oh, the online e-commerce.
All those places.
Yep.
And we were one of 2 solutions in the marketplace. And they send us all their marketing dollars. And our company went from 0 to hero in 24 months. Like we started the company and exited it for 9 figures in 24 months. Like were we smart enough to see the opportunity? Yeah.
Yeah.
Were we smart enough to execute on the opportunity? Yeah. But like I couldn't go recreate that shit.
Yeah.
Like, unless I want to go be Bill Gates and create a virus and shit. But like I couldn't go recreate the circumstance. So I think a lot of entrepreneurs take credit for the circumstance, right?
Yeah.
Like I look at the world today and I'm like, if you and I lived 2,000 years ago, we'd be in a cave by a fire and the genius of that time would be whoever created the best club or the first guy to figure out you could sharpen a rock and make a point.
Yeah.
Right. And kill a buffalo easier.
Right.
And it's not that we're smarter than that guy then. It's just that's what circumstance was at his time. He was the genius of his time. You can be the genius of our time given the circumstance the universe provides where technology is. Like I like blockchain right now. I told you heavily into Metaverse and NFTs. Like I didn't create it, but I saw opportunity within it. And now I'm taking full advantage of that. But you can't take too much credit for that because it's just the circumstance the world provides right now.
Yeah.
And as long as you're in the game, then you can succeed with those things.
Man, so when like that's so interesting. I just asked you the formula of success and you didn't say one thing about marketing tactics. You didn't say one thing about sales. You said who you are will dictate that. And that, dude, if people could just understand that, the world will always pay you exactly what it thinks you're worth. Yep. And who you are as a human being naturally will attract those same kind of people, right? Yep. But let me ask you this. Through your journey, you obviously had a lot of ups and downs. I want to get to kind of that crypto thing, but I kind of want to come back to this. Obviously, the process of business and the process of entrepreneurs, the process of becoming. Like who you become will ultimately determine how much success you have, right? Because you could win the lottery, but how many people who win the lottery do not keep their money? How many people who go into the NFL or NBA or whatever get all this money and can't hold on to it, right? Sure. How many people get a one-hit wonder in business, but they can't repeat it? Why? Because they got the success, and success can come like that, but ultimately who you become will determine the outcome, but also that can come with a lot of hatred, right? Yeah. I kind of want to ask about that because obviously dealing with lawsuits or dealing with, someone in your business who runs a scam on everybody, embezzles money. Obviously you had to deal with this, right?
Yep.
What is that like? Because that just because you're that person doesn't mean you're going to be able to avoid those things, right?
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of that boils down to like when you truly start to understand the importance of like yourself, right? Like who you are.
Right.
And you understand that who you are is the only thing you can control, right? Like experience is going to happen around you, right? Mm-hmm. Like you're going to say whatever you're going to say today and I can't control that.
Right.
What I control is my reaction to it and what I say, right? So in life, we can't control any circumstance. All we can control is our reaction to the things that happen around us and how we choose to take that experience, right? We can choose to take something as good or bad. Like a lot of people, like I tell people, heaven and hell is your choice of experience. Like hell might be a cool place. I don't know. Heaven might not be that great of a place. I don't know. What I know is whatever happens in life, that's why you can see cancer patients that go through cancer and they're happy and positive the whole time. And you can see people that go through and they're miserable the whole time. And it's a circumstance of self. And it's how they choose to take on that experience. And so one of the things that I think entrepreneurs miss, because at the end of the day, entrepreneurs, right? Like, and I'm guilty of it on social media. We're like the most overstated, secure, and I'll use the word alpha, and we'll come back to that. But we're the most overstated, secure people that are flooded with insecurity behind it. So right? Like we walk around like, oh, we're so secure. We got money. We got this. We got. But everyone has insecurity, bro. There's not a day that you don't wake up insecure. There's not a day that I don't wake up insecure about something. And so it's like that overstatement of that is why, you can be smart and you can be good and you can find something. You can come into a market at the right time, right place, and you blow up and win. But if you don't understand that aspect of yourself, you'll never repeat it. That's why a lot of people that are successful businessmen fell at raising their kids. They fell at marriage. They fell at so many other things in life because what it takes to truly generate success repeatedly is all inside yourself. Like it's all that element of self-control, self-understanding, and really understanding how to control your own energy. And then knowing how to apply that to different things. And so I think a lot of entrepreneurs like study a lot of marketing and I'm going to build a big social media and I'm going to drive a nice car. And none of those things are bad. Like I don't view them as good or bad. They just, they are, and they're tools and they're elements of things that work depending on what marketplace you're in. True. But at the end of the day, what I think most of them miss is like, they're so overstated in trying to demonstrate that they're secure that they miss addressing all their own insecurities. And that's why they can't repeat success in every area of life. And when you get somebody, you've interviewed a lot of people, when you see somebody who's authentic and they have a true integrity of self, like they're not trying to represent themselves to be something they're not. Those people, when you look at their life, they're typically more successful across more aspects of their life.
Well, I mean, you get that feeling right when someone walks into the room. Like when someone walks in the room, you immediately feel it. And like the thing is, someone's in the room just because of energies. Like I've heard this before. Our brains are like radio towers, right? We emit a frequency, but we also can pick up on other people's frequencies.
Absolutely.
That's why you get the feeling someone's in the room. You turn around, oh hey shit, there's someone in the room. You didn't see him, you didn't hear him. You just got the feeling, right? But also going along with that, you get the feeling of when someone walks in the room, you go, oh, that's that dude. You immediately can feel their presence, right? They have this, I don't want like not only say like aura, but like this presence about them that's different than just like how tall they are, if they're ripped or if they've got, sexy ass hair or whatever it is, right? There's a presence that comes with them that that you cannot fake. Right? Doesn't matter what you cannot fake the presence that people have when someone walks in the room. And that's what you're talking about, the energy, who you are. And that stems ultimately from what you've got inside. What you got emitting inside will emit frequencies outside. That's why we're attracted to people in the same, sort of business, almost the same, operating the same frequencies. Because naturally, that's just what's going to happen. That's why they say your network is equal to your net worth. If you hang around people of lower frequency, you will lower your frequency. If you hang around with people of higher frequency, you will end up matching their frequency. You'll match their temperature, whether it's a thermostat. Your people around you are a thermostat. And you will either become hotter or colder, either one. And I tell you, there's a lot of people who want to make life a lot colder, a lot harder on people like us. We've been talking about that before, and it's a shitty thing. Your
question was hate, so I'm going to get to that, but I'm going to say, to wrap this up in kind of a nice little bow, when you understand frequency, because you brought up the word, when you understand that the entire universe operates off frequency, then you understand how to emit the frequency that's needed to attract what you need back. Because ultimately, like if you're focused and intent on something and you put it out there in the universe, the only reason people don't succeed at that point, if they've truly come from a place of self, like I put a post on Instagram about New Year's goals, and I said, if your goal doesn't boil down to something that's entirely self, right? If it's, I want to be more successful in my relationship, so I hope my wife gets better, like you're going to fail miserably.
Right.
So when you set your goals, you got to boil all the way back to a place of self, where you're the only thing that matters in the equation to what you're trying to accomplish. And when you approach it from that point, then you understand how to put that frequency out. The world's always going to return that to you. It has to. That's how the universe works. It's on an equilibrium of energy, right?
Right.
So if it has to return it to you, then the only thing is can you stay focused long enough to give it the time it needs to return it? Some people get impatient, they get distracted, they get off on other things. They're on that frequency one day, but then the next day it's a hard day, so they get off that frequency.
Yes.
Because they don't understand inside themselves how to maintain it. But if you can maintain it long enough, the world always has to return it.
Yeah.
And I would say if you really looked at your success, this is you stayed consistently on that frequency of I'm going to kick ass long enough that it's happened. And that will continue to grow and it will scale. You don't have to scale the size of your business for that to scale. Your ability to do that will happen naturally and things will just get bigger for you in your life. So when you talk about going from a car wash to a 9-figure business, all I know is I understand how to be very disciplined when I commit to something.
Yeah.
And stick with it long enough for the universe to pull it back to me.
Yeah.
I know how to speak it into existence. I know how to get my mindset right. I know how to get my energy right inside myself and then speak it into existence and then just stick at it. And I'm just relentless. I keep going until the universe brings it back to me and it always comes back. It's like a boomerang.
Where did you learn this, if you don't mind me asking? Like, did you have mentors taught you this, or like, where did you absorb all this?
Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of good mentors in business. I've done a lot of time studying, like even current guys, Tom Bilyeu, Tim Bilyeu goes into this a lot.
He's amazing.
Eckhart Tolle is a guy that I love. Sadhguru is a guy that I love. Like, it's just a topic of conversation that I believe is so important, like something that I really want to understand in depth to teach my daughters.
Right.
And so it's just been something that I've constantly tried to pursue. And at the end of the day, it's one of those things where as I'm pursuing it, I just see my life getting better, bigger. But at the end of the day, it's just more consistent.
Yeah.
And when you understand energy, you understand like extremism or like having high highs and low lows, not a good thing. So when you say celebrating a 9-figure exit, like I try to maintain a balanced energy. Because super high energy and super low energy is not good for
it's not sustainable
yourself, but maintaining a consistent energy of celebrating victories and learning from losses, that's great.
Yeah.
So I try to maintain a pretty even energy because by nature, by my upbringing, I'm a pretty aggressive person. And so like learning to control my temper is one of the things that I continue to work on. And one of the things that's been a thing of mastery for me because I know how my dad's temper was with me and I don't want to be that way for my daughters or my wife. And so just learning about those things and ultimately it comes back to mastering yourself. And if you put enough time into yourself, like the things you need to learn, you'll learn. The shit that needs to happen in business for you to succeed, if you're committed enough to it, you'll figure it out.
Dude.
Like,
yes.
Go do it. You'll figure it out.
Amen, dude. Like, I mean, they say the most dangerous information is the information you don't know.
Right.
Right. That's the only thing that can harm you. Right. But at the end of the day, if you just stick with it long enough, you're going to fucking learn. Yeah. All you have to do is ask some questions, right? Talk to some people who have been there, done that. Dude, one thing recently in my business that I had someone who was running all this stuff in the back end. I just talked to somebody who goes, why haven't you been doing this with this software? I go, what are you talking about? Like, you can just do this and this and automate the whole thing. I'm like, you're telling me I could just have like this connected to this and then it automates and I don't have to have this whole system? Like, no, you just can. I just didn't know.
Right.
And all of a sudden everything became a lot easier. I'm like, well, shit, now we can use this person for other things. We can grow even faster because we don't have to worry about that point. Right. Yep. And I just didn't know. I've been operating my business the whole time. I didn't know I could do that. And it's a big piece of my business that I have people managing. I'm like, what the hell? Like, I wish I would have known this before, right?
But you made it work till you figured it out.
Exactly. You just stick with it long enough. You're going to figure this shit out. It just takes time. It takes, at the end of the day, it takes courage.
Yep.
Because that shit's scary, man.
Yeah,
it's scary.
Failing sucks.
Oh, of course.
The unknown of an entrepreneur sucks.
That's what an entrepreneur is. They see something, they take it personal, and they dive into the unknown to figure it out.
Yeah.
That's an entrepreneur. Everyone else waits for the entrepreneurs to figure it out. Do you know how many times I've even said stuff like, man, I wish there was someone who'd invent this because that'd be really cool.
Right.
But it's the entrepreneur who takes that.
Lives uncomfortably.
Exactly. He takes that personally, says, I'll fucking do it, right? I'll make this happen. So if it's okay with you, I kind of want to pivot and ask you about what you're going into now, which is probably the most popular and controversial, and maybe one of the biggest things that'll change our entire lives. It's what's happening with crypto. It's what's happening with the metaverse. What's happening with NFTs. This shit's going to change the world.
Yeah,
it's very controversial. It's very, hit and miss in a lot of things. There's so many things. People I get flooded with information about this NFT, or this crypto, and the metaverse, and this is. There's so much. What's the next phase for you with that? Like, why are you diving into that almost atmosphere with all that?
Yeah, I'm gonna jump into that, but I want to come back to at the end. I want to make sure we come back to dealing with haters. Okay. Just because I want to get into it with you a little bit.
Okay, talk to me.
It's funny, but we'll come back to that after we talk briefly about crypto.
I'll put a pin in that one.
But crypto is crazy, man. Mm-hmm. And when people say it's controversial, I think it's controversial from two standpoints. Mm-hmm. Number one, it's controversial for people who don't understand it because it's a change, right? Like cell phones were controversial. The internet was controversial. Shit that changes the way people live life. Yeah. Television was controversial. Yeah, true. Right? It's controversial for people who don't understand it, and it's extremely controversial for big banks and governments. Mm-hmm. And it's not because they don't understand that it's inevitable. Mm-hmm. Like blockchain as a technology, it's not a possibility anymore. Mm-hmm. It's an inevitability. Mm-hmm. It's going to happen. It's going to change the way we live our life. Right. It's going to change the way the world is. It's going to improve and enhance the way the world is. Like think simple things like recording deeds of property or medical records. Like think if you were on a trip in Africa and you fall down and hurt yourself, and that person needs to know at the medical office in Ghana what you're allergic to, then not a way they could figure that out. If all medical records were on a blockchain, decentralized, they're unhackable, and you had a keychain or a thumbprint or whatever that unlocked a private key that allowed somebody anywhere in the world to access your medical records. Wow. Like it's just a better way.
Dude, I was thinking about just a little pin in that. Like I was driving, my wife called me, she's like, hey, have you seen my wallet? I'm like, hello. She's driving behind me. She's like, I don't have my license. I'm like, well, let's turn around and get it. I'm like, I can't wait for the driver's license
to be an NFT. On a blockchain.
I'm like, wait for that to be an NFT where it could just be on your phone.
You just pull it up. The dude scans it. It's like, yep, you're good. Exactly. Insurance. Yeah. All of those things. And it's a better way of storage because it's decentralized, right? But the decentralization of it, like at the end of the day, you've heard me say it at a couple of events. It was actually Bridger Pennington's dad who said it at an event I was attending with him. But he was like, the best business ever created in mankind was the Federal Reserve. It was some rich dudes that said, hey, we're going to create a private business and we're going to print on paper currency for the world's superpower, and we're going to charge their population for that. Like fucking genius.
Dude, people don't know that the Federal Reserve is not a part of the federal government. It's a private business.
Like, greatest business ever invented.
And they name it the Federal Reserve.
Right. Sell paper to the world's superpower and get paid for it. Like, genius. Yeah. So I can't be mad at it.
Right.
But when you look at that, it's all centralized and controlled, right? The banks, when you look at the banks and who owns the banks and the wealthiest families in the world, and you can go deep into this shit and you can see why, like, if you look at wars, like there's only been 6 countries, I think, in the world that didn't have a Rockefeller bank in it. Iraq, Syria. Within 12 months of us invading those 2 countries, they had a Rockefeller bank in it.
Wasn't it like Gaddafi or whatever who was trying to do that? And then Saddam Hussein was trying to implement his own currency based off of, and they tried to back it by something.
And they were trying to go out. So most people don't know in the world, the only way you can buy oil is with dollars. So if you're the Chinese government, the Russian government, the Iraqi government, and you want to buy oil, you have to send your currency to the Federal Reserve. They give you dollars, and then you can use your dollars to buy oil. So the world is on a dollar standard for oil.
Wow.
Also, the only 2 countries to ever try to go off that, Iraq and Syria. So when you look at that, like I don't believe in like the world is what it is. So there's no reason to get lost in that shit. But at the end of the day, there's an element of centralization and control that happens there. Like we're seeing some of that with COVID and all of that shit. So when you look at blockchain, it's decentralized. They have no ability to control it. And when the government comes out and says all this nonsense about we're going to implement all these policies and we're going to do away with Bitcoin, like, no, you're not. And the only reason they're saying that is because they're scaring the masses and creating enough fear that there will be a lack of adoption from the masses long enough that they can try to figure out how to get their piece of it. It's not even a question, will we have a digital dollar someday. At the end of the day, if you think about the business of government, right? China already is starting to implement this. Like in China, in major cities, Shanghai, if you want to give a beggar like some money, you scan their WeChat and you give them money. And why? Because the government taxes you for that transaction. So you think about the dollar, you think about all the cash run businesses, nail salons, hair salons, transactions that the government gets no tax on because they're paper currency transactions.
Yeah.
When they implement a digital dollar, it's not a good thing for you and I.
Right.
We lose it's complete transparency in every transaction that exists.
Was it called the Fed coin or something like that?
Yeah,
right?
Whatever they call it. You won't have to file your taxes because every time you do a transaction, they'll tax you. Like there'll be 100% taxation. Everyone will pay the appropriate taxes because if it's all digitally registered, they can tax every transaction. And so it's not that it's not better for them. It's better for them. It's just somebody else created it first, was smart enough to launch it decentralized and anonymously into the world. And now it's taken this shape where, like market cap of crypto is higher than the stock market. And bro, the US government's one of the largest holders of crypto, by the way.
What?
Yeah, for sure.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
The US government is one of the largest holders of crypto.
Absolutely. So all the nonsense and propaganda you hear and it's controversial is just people who have a control. Like, so we just sold a company for, whatever we sold it for. It was a part cash, part stock deal. So it didn't all come out in cash, which is a good thing because the company we merged with is going to go public in the next couple of years for like $3 to $5 billion. And then we'll have another 9-figure exit with that. So it wasn't a bad thing, but at the end of the day, just the time it takes to close a deal like that, where the funding banks were Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan, and then they got to wire money into a interim bank, and then they wire money to this bank, and then they got to wire money to our company bank, and then our company bank has to wire money to our individual companies, and then we can actually get that money. It was a 26-day process from those banks putting a hold on our money. Why do they put a hold on it? Because they make interest on it while they're holding it in their bank. Right. So with crypto, I've done transactions where I brokered some mining equipment deals of different things where it's let's call it a $10 million transaction where company A sends me crypto. I keep my little piece for brokering the deal. I send it to company B. They have a contract and it takes place in about 15 minutes from a Starbucks. It's just a better way.
Yeah.
It's a better functioning mechanism. So with that, what's crazy about, as you asked me about crypto and the metaverse, is it's literally like digitally recreating our world. So I don't know if you've seen, like Justin Bieber did a metaverse concert, 10.7 million attendees to watch his avatar sing for 30 minutes.
No, I did not see that.
There will be a day where the car that you own in the metaverse is as equally as valuable or more valuable than the cars you have in your garage.
Let me ask you about that because there's multiple metaverses. Metaverse is the name of Facebook's, but then there's, I believe, called Sandbox and wait till Google. Yeah. So there's going to be like these basically just different universes, we could call them, that are going to be created, right?
Yep.
So does that devalue what it is? Because right now it's just the metaverse because they're probably the first. But does it devalue when all these other companies make their own?
No, I mean, think of it like the business you're in. There's Amazon, there's Walmart. Right? Some brands do a deal with Walmart. Some brands do a deal with Amazon. So if I want that brand, I go to Amazon. If I want that deal, I go to Walmart.com. So it's going to be the same competitive landscape. You have a lot launch in the beginning. And that, like, at the end of the day, like when people ask me, is it a risky time to get into crypto? Absolutely. Yeah. It's still like, but was it a risky time to buy a domain when you could have bought Google.com or Nike.com or Ford.com? Yeah, but if you would have bought them, you'd have made millions of dollars.
Yeah.
But people who did buy them and sat on them and then sold them for millions, like they were early adopters. They took a risk. They bought something early. They got into a space early and they were rewarded because of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing people are missing. Like everyone, like my kids, my daughters have to do reports for me on crypto. Like I don't pay their allowance in fiat. I pay it in crypto. Because at the end of the day, the single largest wealth creating event in our lifetime and our kids' lifetime will be digital. It will be what's happening right now because you're recreating an entire world and an entire experience for humanity inside a universe that's uncreated right now. So all of it's in this creation phase. And I believe there'll be a day where you're wearing a really cool pair of sunglasses. You're in augmented reality or a metaverse experience. You go to some shopping mall, you walk up the mall, you have your avatar, you have a body scanner at home, so it could perfectly match your avatar, and you can try on Gucci's latest whatever, and you can see how it fits, and you can buy one for your avatar, and you can buy one that they'll ship to your house. And that's how we'll shop. And by the way, it's a better experience.
Well, what happens to our world then? That's my honest thought, because we've seen like Ready Player One and all these things where like, does that mean our world that we currently live in like this life as opposed to that universe dwindles away?
No, I think it changes. It changes just like Amazon's changing it. Like it changes why our business succeeded. People don't go to the grocery store anymore.
That's true.
Why would you if you could do Instacart?
Yeah, that's true.
That shit sucks. I hate going to the grocery store.
Yeah.
Somebody will deliver me milk in 22 minutes to my house.
Yeah.
Right?
It takes me 22 minutes to get there and back, if not
and
more.
So all of the shift in the world creates opportunity because it shifts jobs, right? So before there wasn't a job for somebody to go pick up groceries and deliver them, but now people make full-time livings doing that.
Right.
Before there wasn't a job for somebody to go pick up your restaurant food and deliver it to your house, but now people supplement their income or make a full-time income doing that, right? And so people get scared of shifts, but all shifts create, like they take away opportunity, but they also create new opportunities. So like Amazon's ability to deliver within 24 hours your groceries, like all of the Amazon Instant and Fresh and all that shit that they're doing.
Right.
Like, yeah, it takes away opportunity from the guy who was the checker at the grocery store.
Yeah.
But does it because now he's checking out for somebody who's picking it up and delivering it. And so people get scared of that. Like, oh, it's going to change our world. Like, yeah, I think we've already seen social media and technology change our world, right?
1000%, yeah.
Like our kids are going to grow up differently. It's a different world. We have to teach our kids the importance of understanding reality versus what people post on Instagram. Like,
Right. Yeah.
everyone posts the image of who they want to be, whether that's who they are today or not.
Right.
Is their Instagram story.
Yeah.
Like nobody wants to post their insecurities and shit.
Right.
I'm going to post my best me.
Yeah.
Right. I only have one Rolex, but I'm going to post it every day.
Yeah.
Because I want people to believe I have 10 Rolexes.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we already have to teach our kids about those things. We already have to teach our kids the importance of human connection and interaction and those things. Do I think that's going to just continue to be necessary? Yeah. But I don't think it evolves our world to a place of like Ready Player One. But it's definitely going to disrupt our world. When you take the world when you take the control of money out of government and you put it decentralized to the people, will it evolve how we live? Yeah, it has to.
Well, let me ask you this though, because every country who's tried them to like go off that currency or to have their own currency and back it by something else or whatever it is, what always results in some form of fashion a war. Would that happen here then? Because if this is the case, right? If we go off the Fed and they're that powerful, right? Are they trying to stir us up into a civil war and distract us with other things? And I know I'm getting like maybe political here, maybe even like conspiracy theories, but this is an honest question about like, would they allow that to happen and not put up the biggest fight of their life to hold on to their position as the Fed, as the printing currency for the world superpower? If crypto's this big, then it is the biggest enemy to one of the biggest, things there are. There's going to be a war on it, right? Sure. Whether it's actually physical war or whatever kind of war, there's going to be a war waged on that so they can protect what they have. Yeah. Right?
Well, I think that's why it's inevitable that there'll be a digital dollar. I think they're just preparing to compete with this space. A digital dollar, like at the end of the day, right? Currency is an exchange of human energy, right? Why do you get paid? For what value you bring to the marketplace, what energy you contribute. Yeah. Right. So like Bitcoin is an exchange of actual energy. Yeah. You have to plug a machine in a wall, you consume energy, it creates crypto, right? It solves an algorithm, creates Bitcoin. So it's the consumption of converting power into a digital currency. Like currency is the consumption of converting, like if you want to go to like slaves or humans work. So whether you're doing the field, the cows, the whatever, it's converting into currency, right? And that currency comes from established institutions. So the like Federal Reserve has to go to a digital dollar. It's not if they will, it's when they will.
We pretty much already are on a digital type dollar.
When they have their hands around it enough, because at the end of the day, the reason they'll do it is because then they can hold institutions responsible to the digital dollar. And then that's what they're paying.
Right.
And at some point, to get that digital dollar into a decentralized currency, they get their piece of that, right?
Yeah.
So there's that process. Right now, it's how do you get paper dollars into Bitcoin?
Right.
Well, how am I going to get a digital dollar if that's what the bank's paying to my company and my company's paying to me?
Right.
So there's going to be some element that they always get to keep their piece. And at the end of the day, I don't think they shouldn't. Like, we have to have taxes and things to live in the country we live in. It gives us. So I'm not one of those that advocates cryptos like overthrow the government and whatever, right? Like, we should all be responsible, pay our taxes, and that's what affords us the ability to live in the country we live in. What I'm saying is the fear that's being pushed out is because they need to get ahead of it, because they weren't the creators of it. Like, you could bet your ass if the Federal Reserve came up with the idea of blockchain first,
well, everyone would have it.
We'd already be on it.
Yeah.
They would control it.
True.
So what a lot of it's about control.
So what happens to Bitcoin then? Because Bitcoin, in my opinion, like at least to me, it seems like Bitcoin's the only one that really has established itself as the currency. Everything else that I've seen come out has some form or fashion. Basically, for lack of a better term, software. Like Ethereum is basically like an Amazon or internet platform, right? They all seem to be platforms except for Bitcoin. Bitcoin seems to be the only one that is actual like just dedicated as a currency.
Yeah.
Is that true, or am I off base here?
Bitcoin's intended use was to be a store of value to replace something like gold, right? Like, I don't know if you have gold, but it's not easy to store. Like, you have big, it's not light to
heavy
store.
Shit. Yeah. Right.
So when it was originally created, it was intended to be like the reason gold's so valuable or platinum's so valuable is because it's a diminishing asset, right? There's only a fixed amount of it on the in the earth, and you can't create more of it. So that's why Bitcoin has an expiring algorithm that will ultimately, there's a fixed amount of Bitcoin, and it's built to appreciate the value of Bitcoin over time, which is why it's the highest priced currency, because it was built and intended that way
to become more rare.
Other cryptos like Ethereum are more functional applications. To improve the way we're able to do things, right? So like Ethereum would be something that more competes with like what a digital dollar would be. Bitcoin will always be a store of value, right? So like gold's a store of value, silver's a store of value. It's recognized as that in the world. Bitcoin will always be a store of value, and it will always, I believe, exist in the crypto space. It will continue to appreciate in value. People will continue to hold it because it's decentralized. And then you have all the other coins that are competing with like functional applications that eventually could ultimately compete with the dollar. And that's probably the risk profile there. But ultimately, because these things are already out there, it's already established this global decentralization of the ability to exchange currency. And so what I would tell people is like understanding crypto. You should know what the blockchain is. You should know how it functions, why it functions. You should know what mining a Bitcoin is, and just learn those basic things. In terms of getting involved in it, I tell people, like, in any industry, get involved with what you become educated in, right? So like if I want to get into real estate and I go spend a lot of time looking at, Dave Allred, right? He does like family.
Shout out to Dave. Love you, bro.
He does family, right?
Multifamily.
He doesn't do industrial.
Right.
He doesn't do office. He does multifamily.
Right.
And so if I want to go do that, I'm going to go mentor with him. I'm going to go learn a lot about that. I'm going to go put a lot of time and study that. And then I'm going to deploy my assets there. Right. So it's kind of the same with crypto, because crypto is like, it's what I said, it's recreating a universe, right? So there's everything from Metaverse land to NFTs to tokens to all these different things. Like, start learning about it, find something that piques your curiosity, dig into that. And then within that, like, there's great NFT projects. We're launching a couple this year, right? There's great Metaverse projects that are going to have great application. And there's great crypto projects that truly are improving the way we're able to do things. Right. And so I would say jump into it, learn enough, and then just be cautious, but get involved. Because I think anyone who misses out on the opportunity, anyone who's alive today who doesn't take a part of the opportunity to learn about this and participated at some level, at some point will be like, shit. I missed it.
Well, see, that's where I keep telling everybody is there's so many things that keep popping up, and I have like they're like, oh, like this NFT project, this, they're always, and here's what I tell them, especially young entrepreneurs, pick one, just pick one and be the best at it. Right? Like I see them jumping around all the time. Like, and what you said, get educated on it. Go pick one, get educated on it, be the master of that, and be the best at it, right? Yeah. Everyone has, and it's never been easier to make money in today's day and age because everyone has shiny object syndrome. Right. No one has a discipline to go get educated on the one thing that they're going to stick to and that they're going to build. They can't stay focused on one thing, right? And because like when we talk about you stayed focused on, what was it, like these platforms for oil fields. Right? Yeah. You stayed focused long enough to exit with a car wash. And guess what? During the car wash time, there's a lot of other things that were probably really distracting that you might have wanted to get into, but you stuck to it, right? That's the difference that I'm trying to tell people is pick one. Pick one and be the best at it. Go get educated on it. Because if you're going to be awesome in NFTs or crypto or whatever, go be awesome at it, but stop always jumping every month or every 6 months because some new project's jumping up. Just figure it out. Be educated on it, right? And because I see all these young entrepreneurs trying all these different things. They're trying day trading because they see it on TikTok. And then they go try flipping couches because Ryan Pineda talked about flipping couches. And they're just jumping around. I'm like, dude, just pick one, man, and stick to it long enough to be the best at it, and you'll make a lot more money doing it that way than if you're just never sit down and just be best at one thing, right?
Yeah. So, well, I think for entrepreneurs, it's you got to pick something. Yeah. Build a resource in that, right? So start a business, build a resource in that. By that, I mean resources, disposable income, right? So if I start a business and I build resource. And that business no longer consumes 100% of the resource, I can go apply that resource somewhere else. Right? Right. So I always tell people, like, don't go buy fancy shit with money you're making from your core business. Unless you've made money from your core business, deployed it somewhere and making money off that money. Like, don't go buy a Rolex or a nice car or whatever, right? Like if your money's not making money, you can't afford to buy nice shit.
Amen.
Until your money's making money.
Amen.
When your business is making money, that's your business is your exchange of your time and your energy. And I don't care who you are, you only have so much of that. My least successful times as an entrepreneur is, we were talking about it when I got into investing, right? And I would invest with people, and then I would get pulled into their business because ultimately I think I can do it better. Whether I could or couldn't, who knows? But I always look at a business and think I could do it better. Right. And I can add value, or I can improve something, and so I'd get sucked into that business, and then I VC some money over here, and then I get sucked, and then my core businesses are suffering because I'm distracted, and now I'm chasing all these things. And at the end of the day, you got to start a business, scale it to resource. And then if you want to be somebody that has shiny object syndrome, the number one skill set you can learn is delegation and holding people accountable, right? Because if you want to go do 10 ventures, you got to have a really good operations team in 10 companies.
Right. If you yourself are doing it, you're going to,
has to be to make sure that those operation teams function. Right. So you got to learn to manage people, delegate, hold people accountable, and make sure that they can execute, and make sure that there's clear SOPs and clear procedures. But if you don't focus on a business long enough to get it clear, and you just keep distracting yourself, like, you're going to fail. But once you focus long enough that you can deploy those things, and then that business has resource, an overflow of resource, you can then go apply it to other things. And then you could be a multipreneur or whatever people say they want to be, right?
But even then, like, it all has to flow from your main source and what you're good at, because you can dive into other things, but it has to flow from there, and you have to have a team in order to do that. Because everyone, what they're trying to do is they're trying to spread themselves and schedule out their day for just themselves to be doing it. They don't have that team like you're talking about, or even think to build out a team to be able to delegate and go actually get other people involved, because that's what business is. Business is people. At the end of the day, the product doesn't matter as much as the people, right? Because it could be a good NFT project. If you're not good with people, what good are you? You're not going to be able to get anybody interested in it. Whether it's in the metaverse or not, you still have to connect with people, which ultimately comes back to your main point, what you're talking about here, of who you are and how you connect with other people. Right? So, go ahead, sorry.
No. So I was just going to say, for people on the crypto thing, like, I don't give investment advice. I don't manage other people's money, but ultimately apply basic principles. Understand, if you don't know what cost price averaging is to get into any investment, you shouldn't be investing. Until you have researched that and you understand what that means, like, don't invest in anything because you're not educated enough.
Yeah.
And then once you do, like I tell everyone, Dan Fleischman, that's where I got it from, 40-40-20. Like put 40% of your money in any venture, put it in conservative things that you can count on. They're not high risk, they're not flashy, but they're going to be there, right? So in crypto, Bitcoin's one of those.
Yeah.
Right? Put 40% into the next kind of segment of stuff. And then if you want to take 10 or 20% because you're a gambler, like I'm a gambler,
right?
Take 10 or 20%, put it on shit that could moon, that you can, and that's in real estate, that's in anything that you do in life. Like if you don't understand those principles, you should be an investor. Just keep your money because other people are going to lose it for you. Right. You're going to put it in the wrong places.
Yeah, you've had that happen.
Yeah.
Right? Dude, damn it. Dude, there's a lot of investment advice that I've gotten from just listening to Dan and what he said. I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot more sense than what I thought.
Yeah, it's just like practical fundamentals, right?
Yeah, and we always overthink it, but Dan just no, just do this.
It's not even being that special. So let's talk real quick before, I don't know how long this goes, but
you can go as long. Oh my gosh.
So you asked me how I handle haters.
Yes, I want to know.
I've had plenty of that.
Yes.
Even just recently in the last 2 years, we had to sue somebody who screwed over one of our companies. They knew I was involved in it. So to try to
is this about the software company or is this a different company?
A different company.
Okay.
It was actually in the crypto space.
Okay, gotcha.
They knew I was an early adopter in the crypto space, the company sued them. They knew I was involved in it. So to put pressure on the company, they went out and posted like all kinds of shit online. Like it said I was being indicted. It said I was a part of a fraud. It said I was a part of a scam. Just trying to slander a lot of them. We've sent out legal letters and like the companies have taken down the posts or whatever.
Right,
but because there's no validity, like you can go look and see if I'm in a lawsuit. You can also go look and see if I've been indicted. It's not hard to see.
Right.
Either I have or I haven't.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, here's the way I look at it. Like, and it's something I believe in at a core principle. And I don't know if I'd call it like being naive, right? I think part of my success is just I have this belief that I can win at anything. Like at one point in my life, I was like, fuck, I'm gonna go be a UFC fighter. And I would calculate backwards like 10,000 hours to be an expert. How long do I need? Okay, if I did this many hours a day, like this long, I could be fighting in the UFC. Ultimately, I got talked out of it, probably for the better. But at the end of the day, I just have this belief, like if I want to do something, I will be successful at it. I can succeed at anything in life. When you have that belief, then you have to be okay with the fact that like, not everyone in life has that ability to believe that, right? In themselves. Not everyone in life has that ability to project. Like, I don't know, you might be the most insecure person in the world, but on social media, you project a very secure person, right? Like in and of itself, that's an element of a sense of self, right?
Yeah.
But you're comfortable with your insecurities, but you can still be secure in the things you're good at.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that, right? But other people who don't understand that, like get uneasy with that, right?
Yep.
Like they don't like that. It's not comfortable. They're not able to do that. And so because of that, because I believe most people are unaligned with their integrity to themselves, like, are you really who you tell the world you are?
Yeah.
And everyone knows this. If you are, you can go home and look at the mirror. And even if you have insecurities, are you honest with yourself about those? And if you are, then you can live in a homeostasis, right? Like you're comfortable in your own skin.
Right.
If you're not, you go home and you're uncomfortable in your skin. And I believe most people that become haters just are those kind of people. And so I always tell my daughters, and I have it in one of our rooms, other people's opinions are none of your business. Like for me, my legacy will be 100% dependent on, did I live with integrity of myself and what's the opinion of my wife and daughters? I don't give a shit what anyone else thinks. My siblings, my parents, like that's what I've defined as my why. That's what I've defined as my legacy. Like I could be the richest man in the world and if my kids think I'm a failure, I was a failure. Everyone else in the world could think, but other people's opinion, good or bad, because if you believe other people's good opinion of yourself, you can also become an asshole, right? Like you believe the good press.
Right.
So my thing is just like, don't believe the good press, don't believe the bad press. If you're living in integrity with yourself, none of that shit matters. And if it doesn't matter, like bring it on, talk about me. Like you recently had this with Alphacon, right?
It's going on today. No, like, cause before I get into that Alphacon, let me ask you, like, honestly, did it ever get to you? Like,
Oh, sure. It still does.
Okay.
Like, I mean, recently, one of those articles online, my wife's cousin saw it, and then she messages my wife's brother, and they're like, hey, is Travis okay?
Yeah.
And then they messaged the aunt, and then I was like, shit, like, it's not comfortable.
No.
But at the end of the day, if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, you better get really fucking comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Dude,
that is life.
Yes.
Right?
I thought I was getting a lot of hate before, and I thought I dealt with hate before, you know, like in football, or I was bullied as a kid, right?
Yeah.
And I thought I dealt with hate before. And what I've been seeing recently is a whole nother ball game.
Yeah, but is it really hate?
You know what?
It's perspective.
That's a great point, because at the end of the day, everyone who I've talked to and I've consulted with about what's happening has been excited.
Yeah.
They've been excited about what's happening.
Here's my question to you, right? Alphacon.
Yeah.
What was your intention for Alphacon?
Alphacon, let me just give you like the backstory of Alpha Influence, right? Because technically I do financial consulting.
Yep.
I didn't name it, you know, like this financial name. I want to name it Alpha Influence because of my story, because of what I've gone through. I want to be someone who can help people become the person they're supposed to become so they can make a difference in this world. I believe our world is heading for something that's shitty. I believe what's happening in this country, we're losing our country, right? And I love this country. I love the freedom that we enjoy here, and we're losing it. And the people who can make that difference are entrepreneurs. The people who make that difference are the ones who carry the influence, are the ones who are the leaders who step up to make that change, right? And I want to start a business not only where I could become someone who can make a difference, but I can help other people do it as well. So I named the business Alpha Influence, where, yes, we do financial stuff. I want to help people make more money. I want to help them grow their sales and their marketing or whatever it is. But I want to do that because we need that. Right. And Alphacon is it's a business seminar for entrepreneurs who want to blow up their business in 2022. Alphacon is meant to help you learn from some of the biggest and badass motherfuckers I've ever met. Right? Some good friends who can go up there and share their stories and share what they've been through, so everyone can sit down and listen to what you have to do in 2022 so you can blow up your business, so you can change your life. Listen to someone like Nick Santonastasso about how you can overcome whatever you need to overcome.
Shout out to Nick.
Shout out to Nick. I love you, bro. You can overcome whatever the hell it is that you're faced with. That's what Alphacon is, right? Yeah. And you know what? Honestly, yes, it is about being an alpha in a way that we need people to be leaders. We need people to step up and actually take this on themselves, because that's what an entrepreneur does. They take it personally. They see problems in this world and they take it personally, and they're going to make that difference no matter what it takes.
Right.
No matter the cost.
Right.
That's what Alphacon is meant to be.
Yeah, I love it, man.
So,
and at the end of the day, all the people that are posting about you, like, I wouldn't take it as hate. I would take it as a compliment.
Yeah.
Because what you realize in life, right? And I was actually having this conversation with a friend of mine at the gym today. And he was talking about an experience he recently went through, and somebody talked about it. I'm like, why does that matter to you? Like, what does that trigger in you? Because if you're sure of yourself, if you're sure of your reason and your cause, like, who are any of those people to define what alpha means other than what you define it as to the people that attend? And if the definition's what you just shared with us, like, that's pretty fucking cool. And so the people that don't resonate with that are people that are insecure. That's why I said we're a world of people that like to parade around like we're all these secure humans. We're so proud of our accomplishments and we're invincible, and we don't wake up in the morning and be like, fuck, am I really like whatever it is, right? Yeah. Like I've shared with you, like, somebody asked me the other day, are you trying to get small? I'm like, bro, God made me to be big. Like, it's not an option to be small. It's just whether I'm big or big. Yeah. Right? Right. And so, like, weight's always been a thing. Like, there's times in my life where I haven't posted on social media because I'm not proud of how I've looked. Yeah. Right? And that's just part of my journey. It's something that I've been insecure about. Yeah. And so at the end of the day, like, why people are so scared of being insecure. Like, I know you were saying that somebody mentioned that the logo might represent gay pride. Right. Like, how are they not to know that all these people aren't doing something about being an alpha in support of humanity? Right. Doesn't matter if you're gay or straight. Like, you can be an achiever. Right. And so that's what I think is funny is I think if you look at anybody who's posting about this, anybody who's hating on it, I would challenge that person, go look in the mirror and find out what you're so insecure about in your life that somebody else wanting to be great makes you feel inferior. Because if somebody else wanting to be great or be an alpha, like, we need masculine men. Yes, we do. Right? Like, amen, yeah. Masculine man can't be a lost thing. No. And what does that mean? It means fucking opening a door for a woman. Yes. It means being a respectful gentleman. Like, I've only hit a girl once in my life. My dad knocked me unconscious after that. Like it wasn't an option for me, right?
Right.
And I watched my dad like at ball games correct a man that was like hitting his wife and be like, yo, you hit your wife again, I'm going to beat you. Because it just like that to me, like that's alpha male.
Right.
Right. Being that respectful of a woman, being that respectful, being a provider to your family, being a contributor, like that's what I'm saying. Like somebody that hears the word alpha and gets triggered by that, like, yo, go see a therapist.
Yes.
Because inside of you, you have some insecurity.
Yeah.
But it's what I told you, bro. Like I would just relish in it. Haters talking about you. You're trending on Twitter. You're trending on Reddit. Like at the end of the day, when you said, okay, I'm going to do Alphacon, I'm sure part of it was like, how are we going to market it and get the word out there?
Yep.
Who fucking cares if it was haters or lovers?
Yeah.
Like you're being talked about.
The word's out there.
And so even if you look back on it now and say, well, alpha, like I can understand, like at the end of the day, marketing, right? Like alpha is not very feminine word.
Right.
So if you were looking to attract a very feminine audience and you're talking to a world-renowned CMO, they might say, let's think of a different word, right? Or something. At this point, I wouldn't give a fuck what anyone says. I would be Alphacon forever because hate it, love it, hate on it, you're being talked about. And that, like at the end of the day, when somebody reads an article that was put up to try to slander my name, what people know is Travis Bott was involved in crypto. All the other nonsense, if it makes you, like, it's not easy to sit with. It's not easy to sit with me because I feel bad when my wife has to answer a question about it, right? But in terms of other people's opinion of me, like, I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
Like, I don't live my life for anyone else's opinion other than my wife and my 3 daughters. And I've gotten to a very sure place of that in my life. And it's part of why, like you said, I'm a little bit reserved or whatever. Like, it's what I said about social media, but like, I don't feel a need to go impress people, good or bad or indifferent. Like the people that I enjoy being around, like they know who I am.
Right.
And they know what I do. And the rest of the world, like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like that's how I am. So for you, bro, like I would say just relish in it, like post videos to those dudes. And like at the end of the day, I wouldn't get in a back and forth, but I would grab onto the fact that you're out there and know that at the end of the day, anyone who sees somebody trying to help other people succeed and gets insecure enough to create a fucking video about you on that, like, bro, that's just an insecure human being. I don't care how big his following is. I don't care who he is. I don't care how secure he tells his wife he is or his boyfriend or his husband or whatever he is, right? Whatever that triggered in him, like that's something that dude's got to go back and figure out.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
And now, even if I was going to change the name, even if I was like, oh shit, okay, we could maybe come up with a better name, I wouldn't now. I'd just own that shit.
No way. Yeah. Dude, I like, that's the thing, bro. I needed this. For anyone listening to this, I just want you guys to know if you needed this, I needed this. I needed to hear this because listen, dude, like, that's why I love surrounding myself with people like you because you've been there. You're sometimes you're still dealing with this shit, right? And like very few people understand. And dude, like I can't tell you how much I appreciate you, you know, and bro, I tell you one thing, I'm fucking going all in on this shit, bro. Like the gates have been fucking open. I'm for better or for worse. This is gonna be fucking crazy. Like I'm going all in on this shit, bro.
If you deliver on what you're trying to help people succeed, it'll be worth it, right? You'll make the impact you're trying to make. And at the end of the day, fuck everyone else who has an opinion about it.
Dude, fuck yeah. That's what we're going to name this podcast, right?
Yeah.
Well, brother, if there's anything you'd love to leave our audience with, what would it be?
Man, I would just say like really take time as you're going into this year, like reflect on where you are. Have that moment where you look in the mirror and you're honest with yourself. Like identify your insecurities, identify your success, your strengths, the things you're good at, and be okay with all of it. Like none of it's bad. I think too much, like in the conversation I was having with the buddy at the gym, I was like, bro, who defines heaven and hell? Like it's all experience. And then ultimately it's how we define that experience, right? So something that somebody else sees as an inferior trait in you or something that you even see in yourself as insecurity is just because that's how you choose to perceive it, right? Like I have things that I'm less good at and I have things that I'm more good at. Like, and I know those. So this is what I was told you. I don't operate businesses. I hire good people to operate them because I suck at it. I get ADD. Like I'll be playing Texas Hold'em and betting on sports and trading at the same time just because it distracts me and like I can do it.
Yeah.
And so it's understand that. Like I would recommend Eckhart Tolle, Tom Bilyeu, Sadhguru, some of these things, like really try and understand that level of self and like finding a joy for life that's not dependent on anything else around you. And I think that will unlock the ability to like create. And I'm saying this from a place of process, not like a, hey, I'm at the top of the mountain saying, come join me. Like I'm in the fucking hike with y'all. Like I'm still in it, learning this shit as I go. And some of you I'm younger than, some of you I'm older than. Doesn't matter, right? That's why we have life, and however many years we have to live is just gaining this experience and understanding. Yeah. Because whatever after this life is, I think it's all going to be the experience that we take with us and our ability to use that experience. So like go do some big shit and go be comfortable in your own skin and don't let other people distract you from that.
Dude, message for like seriously, because if I can attest to that just before we end this is that, dude, you've exited multiple companies at 9 figures and even 8 figures in others, and you're still in coaching groups that I see, and you're still doing this. And that hits me square between the eyes, as I don't care how fucking big you get. I don't care how much money you make. It's a fucking journey to become. And if this dude's doing it, I better be fucking doing that.
Well, if your life's about money, you're going to have a sad life.
That's right.
It'll be happier with money. So I'm not saying money's a bad thing, but yeah, it's about more than that, right?
Amen, brother. Dude, thanks for coming on.
Absolutely,
man.
bro.
Awesome to have you on.